All right. Yes. Tell your mother flipping story. I got to tell you, I think I just get excited in each of our guests. I feel like I'm like, oh man, we done did the damn thing. Now, here's what's so cool. This is part of our client corner. And what's awesome is that I get to spend time with a friend. What's real for me is that success leaves clues. And you know that for me, like you're either doing the damn thing or you're not, right? There's only one life that we've got to live here. And in this one life that we've got to live, we actually have to be the one to live it, period. Now, on the other side of this, I want you to think of the business that you're starting, you're trying to run, or you're trying to scale. At the end of the day, your story is literally the foundation for all things that you not just want to do, but can do. And the more willing you are to walk inside of the story, not just the beginning and the middle, but really and truly also the ugly, the end of your story, the parts that are hard, that's really where the game changes. And, you know, this guest I'm about to bring on, he's shown me this year, he's been really key in me being reminded, even on my journey, of how important it is to embrace your story and then use that to do that. You know what I mean? Like use that to do that. So man, get your pencil, get your paper out. I know, like we taking notes this year. Take it out. Get ready. Just get ready to be schooled. Get ready to learn and be open. Oh man. And welcome. It is the Matt Gill.
Whoop whoop. Hey. I love it.
I love the fact that you come with your own trade. You like
right?
In this.
Listen. If I don't have my own cheerleaders like behind me, then I'll create my own cheerleaders.
That's what I'm saying.
To walk right alongside me.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm excited.
Don't make me break out the wah wah wah.
Listen, you know what? I'm actually waiting for you to break out the dance move. I think that's actually the truth of the matter. You know, I got to tell you, I know we're going to talk about your story, more importantly, how you school people in these streets, but the day that you were like, hey, listen, I've made it official, DT, do the damn thing nation needs a dance troupe. That's it. This is it. I'm making it official. I damn near died.
Listen, hear a need, find a need, fill the need, right? And everybody was talking about we need a dance. Okay, great. Let's put a dance troupe.
Listen, you know, when you said that, and then I think it was during night school, and then someone was like, oh, wait, when are auditions being held? I was like, wait,
we actually had 2 videos that came in of people auditioning virtually.
I believe that with every fiber in my body. So, man, I'm excited about this. I'm going to get right into it because, you know, you're in a league of your own, for sure. You're definitely in a league of your own. And I say that in thinking of not just your journey since, you know, I've had the luxury of being able to work with you, but even before that, because you and I were friends for years before you even came in to do the Damn Thing Nation, but then more importantly, before you became a client. And what's so raw for me is that you made a decision for you. And it was like, I know this decision is not popular. I know this decision might not be liked by everybody. I know that this decision is not what other people want, but this is what I want. This is what I need. So tell me the moment, go back in the last 5 years and tell me the moment where you're like, I have to do something different.
So for me, it was really, as a coach, as a personal development coach of which is the space that I was living in, I was coaching people to follow their dreams, to own their value, to charge with their worth, to stand and use their voice. And I would hear myself say it sometimes, and I almost felt out of integrity of what I was saying. Because I was teaching people and pushing people and challenging people to follow what's that dream? What does that look like? And yet I knew that I was putting my dreams on the back burner.
But you weren't you were saying people. It's not just people. You were coaching hundreds and thousands of people. I really have to emphasize this because you make it sound like it's like 8 people down the street on Main Street. No, this is like Matt coached hundreds and thousands of people. And
so the company that I was working with, like we would impact over 32 million people a year. A lot of it was done online through live events. And then going in and doing one-on-one coaching and group coaching and hundreds of people at a time. and watching people's progress. And I think that was the other part, was I was coaching people to make progress in their life, and I was watching them move forward, and I knew I wasn't moving forward. And that didn't feel good. It didn't feel right. And it felt out of integrity. It felt out of integrity of what I was doing and who I knew. You know, when you have an idea, you have a dream, you have a purpose, and you feel it right there. It's all about taking the leap. And that's how I actually got into that particular role with the company that I was with, was taking, you know, I literally climbed the scaffolding of the back of some stairs to jump in front of somebody and say, hey, pick me. I'm the one that you need.
Yes, you told me that. You absolutely told me that. So in this, are you saying that you were sitting on this thing for a minute, you were coaching people, talking to people, and, you know, for the person listening, look, listen, I've been there. I can remember multiple chapters of my life. I remember a chapter, here's real. I remember a chapter on my way to six figures, and I would tell my kids, like, you can be more, you can do more. And I was like, but I wasn't being more and I wasn't doing more, right? Totally out of integrity. I'm a liar. That's the truth, because that's just a fact. I remember saying to myself, well, then I need to face my fears and tell my story. But yet I wasn't really willing to tell my own story. Like I would tell my story, but I couldn't really embrace the ugly parts of it because I wasn't trying to go there. So when you think about that moment of you going, self-conviction is here, check. Mm-hmm. I am feeling XYZ. Did you do like a lateral move where you were like, okay, let me just slide over to the right and kind of try to do something differently? Or did you kind of do an about face?
I would say kind of a hybrid of both. One, I made a decision. Okay, I'm giving myself 4 months. Like, let me put it out there. And then in the back of my head, like, oh, crap. What am I going to do? How's this going to work? You know, how am I going to put this together? And here's the thing about my story is I told bits and pieces of my story.
Yeah.
I didn't tell the whole story. And I only told, like, I would walk into a room and try to take a pulse of the room, try to take the temperature and say, what can this room handle? Versus just allowing me to be me. I did that in relationships. I did that in relationships with family. I did that with friends. I wasn't being whole and complete in every area of my life. It wasn't until that I actually began to tell the truth of my story that I began to honor my value. And really, what do I bring to the table? Who is Matt Gill? Who is, like, my experiences are my superpower. And I looked at my experiences in a place of shame and guilt. Mm-hmm. I looked at it as a place of making a mistake versus looking at what was the lesson that I learned from that. Like, what came from that challenge? How did I grow from that? And so I would give myself only certain permissions. In this room, I can only be this much. In this room, I can only be this much, versus allowing myself to just show up 100%.
So, you know, it's funny that you say that, because I can absolutely 100% feel of the moments where self-conviction got the best of me. And it was like, okay, I feel that. You know, like, I'm in that. Did you say to yourself at the end of 4 months, were you like, okay, great, I'm ready? Or were you like, no, I'm not ready, but I'm going to jump? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not ready. I
just had to do it. I just had to jump. And that's where faith comes in. You know, I don't have the answers. I don't know how it's going to work, but I just know that I have to do it. And for me, it was almost, I had to recalibrate. I had been living a life of somebody else for so long that I had to reconnect with, who is Matt? What does Matt want? You know, when we sat down and we did our VIP day and you were like, you know, I want you to dream. And what do you want? Like, I was frustrated with myself that I should know this. I should know me. And I felt so far away from myself than I had felt in a long time. Because the questions of what is your story? What do you want? And then shifting the conversation around being selfish. Like, you get to be selfish right now. Like, whoa.
I remember that. You were like, what? I was like, right. Be selfish. And you were like, stop it, Tiffany, stop it.
Right. And even when I thought I was being selfish, it was still for other people. Mm-hmm. Like, that was the frustrating. I was actually really angry with you that day.
You were angry is a mild word. We'll keep that.
Right. You're like, nope, do it again. This is for somebody else.
Though, Ed, but I got to tell you, even just me thinking about that day, that the reality is that you came to find you, not to find yourself, just find you. It's like you had built so many things, but those things, you weren't a person, you weren't even part of the equations of the things that you had built. And here it is, you have all these things, from your family to to the work that you had loved forever and a day, and then all people around you. And it's like, no, we got to find Matt. And so step number one in that is you have to be selfish. Like you have to be selfish. And that concept, I know it sounds tough to the person who's listening, but we can't actually serve other people or the world until we 100% serve ourselves. It's like 72% might as well be 0% for Tiffany. It's kind of like, the house foundation thing, right? We're trying to build a second floor on the house. The guy comes to inspect the thing. He's like, everything looks great, but this one beam right here, this one beam doesn't look so good. And you're like, what? But there's 37 other beams. This thing looks great. But he's like, no, this one beam doesn't look good. It's not at 100%. And this one beam will cause the whole thing to fall.
Right.
And you don't build the second floor. You don't spend the time, energy, effort, or money for the whole thing to fall. It's just the fact of the matter. So when I took that principle for myself into even our conversation, even at that moment, I remember you wanting to build more. And I know that you were frustrated at first with me going, no, we're going to just Matt. It's like a Matt party. But what's cool is that I look back at that now and I'm like, holy mother of Johnson. This is not even the same man. Like, Matt's just doing the damn thing. He's stomping on people in the streets. I was going to say another word, but I was like, I know you guys are not ready for that. You're not ready for that right now. But we stomping
That's the next level of elevation.
That's the next level of elevation. But he's stomping on people in these streets. You started your business. I started a business
in the face of a pandemic. Like, that's crazy. That's some crazy shit.
That was crazy.
Like, I look back, I'm like, and I'll be honest, there's been so many parts of this that I'm like, why did you choose now? Like, of all the times to go through and to step and to leave a full-time job with, decent pay, with a great team, I was still making impact. And then to step out and to follow your dreams now in a place with so much uncertainty. But then I realized, man, there's so much opportunity right now.
Yes, like, come on, opportunity.
This is actually probably one of the greatest gifts. One, because God said, okay, you need time to find yourself. Let me stop the world for a second. Let me just stop the world. Let me put everything on hold. Let me give you a couple months to sit back and think, what's important to you? Where do you want to go? Who do you want to touch? How do you want to impact? And what do you want to do? Whereas if this pandemic wasn't here, I wouldn't have had that time. I would have been hustling.
You wouldn't have had the time, and you wouldn't have had the room.
Exactly.
That's the other part of this. It's not just the time. You wouldn't have had the room. Like the Matt I see today, I'm like, shit, look at the Matt today. Because you know what's so cool about owning your story and then being able to have the room? You also build something else called capacity.
Yes.
So you build capacity for yourself, but then you also build capacity for the creativity that comes in, the way you want to solve new problems, help people, connect with people. And, real talk, I even look at you now and having had the luxury of knowing you before, it's like your freedom in yourself is so tangible. Your freedom in yourself, like just how you vibe, like even how you talk about issues that are pissing you off. Even, do you remember that moment where I literally had I almost had the Holy Ghost caught. Like I almost did a dance for myself because you put up a post not too long ago. And it was like, so for the people who didn't understand the first time, let me just repeat it. Let me repeat the words. Black Lives Matter. It was the best. I still think about it, but it's not because of the sentiment around Black Lives Mattering. It was your clarity on being clear to take a stand. It was your clarity on saying, no, I'm not here to please everybody. No, I am not here to manage your insecurities. I don't have time for that. I already spent 40 years doing that. I already spent 10 years doing that. I already spent and lost all that time managing your insecurities. I don't have no damn time for that now.
And the biggest thing that I've realized is not only has that impacted how I show up in the world, it's also shown up how I show up in my family and friends.
Mm.
And that's actually one of the biggest things, because those are the relationships that we hold the closest. And I've had to have especially in the last couple of weeks, some of the most difficult conversations that I've had in my life. But it was because of my clarity, and it was because of the fact of saying, you know what, no more. Like, this is my boundary, and I love you, and I can love you from afar. I love you, but I don't love the choices that you're making. I love you, but I'm not going to be a part of that chaos anymore. I love you, but I have to step back. I love you, and when you're ready to change, I'll be here, when you're done. And that's been the most difficult but most freeing part of this journey. And it all came from me just owning my story. Like, seriously, March 1st, 3:00 Pacific Standard Time was the time that I freed myself. Like, I will always remember. Like, always remember that.
I'm about to cry. So during our VIP day, I challenged Matt to do something that was huge. And, it was tough for me to ask you to do it. I won't lie, but it was tough for me because, in our company policy and my value system, I have to do the right thing, even if it hurts.
Right.
And I knew that I could build the strategy of a lifetime for you and all of the pieces in between, but they were kind of irrelevant to this one piece of the world. And I had watched you for years just live in pockets and silos. And then you shared with me, you just compounded the impact on you and in your life, and how you felt and how you moved and how you made money and how you loved. And here's the truth. It's like everyone, like, we're trying to make money. Okay, let me stay back. We think that building a life that we love is rooted in making more money, but it's actually not. It's actually rooted in being whole and then making more money. Because
Right.
if you can be whole and make more money, that's when life gets exciting. I can't tell you many people I'm in rooms with where they're emptier than empty till forever with all the money in the world. And I'm like, sucks to be you, period. Mm-hmm. Now, Matt, trust is a hell of a thing, because I remember the moment when I looked at you and I was like, hey, Matt, you have to do this thing. And Matt was
you can say it. You have to come out, because I'm gay, and that was the story that I wasn't telling people. People who knew me knew, but I wasn't going through, and I would, because I would take a temperature. I would be, and I wanted to honor, family, people who didn't know, who, the whole religious thing, and it's not part of the way we brought you up. All of that. Those were the stories that I was telling myself, and that's what held me back. And you saw that in my story. And when you said, Matt,
you have to come out. You have to come out to the whole world. The whole world. I'm like, you're too grown. You're too grown to be living for other people. And, and I want to take a moment here, because Matt represents so many of us, me included, where we have chapters of our lives or things about ourselves. And we're like, okay, the world's not going to accept me. Even me, like, I made more money, and then I would get into certain rooms and I'd be like, well, shit, I can't be this person here. I can't be my real self. I can't bring the hood version of Tiffany to the table, right? I can't bring Miami to the table because they won't accept me, or they're going to shame me, or they're going to reject me. And then I can even remember chapters of my life, especially when I was hovering at six figures, like, I remember going, oh, if you're a Christian, then you can't this, and that, and the other. You can't use these words. You can't have this drink. And I would feel this level of not just conviction, but it was shame. It was just something else. Exactly. It wasn't conviction. It was shame, and it would carry. But it's like a weight on you. You carry that weight, and you're trying to make money, and you're trying to build a life you love. Those things don't go together, which is why we never get there. So in that, because it was part of my story, I knew the formula. And I'm like, Matt, you got to do this thing. And what's funny about that? I remember right now you just staring at me for the longest time. And then you were like, it felt like eons, because we had been 9-10 hours in that day.
Yeah.
It was the end of the day. And you were like quiet. And then you were like, okay. But it was like, okay. But then when I said, the do the damn thing way, which is what by when?
Right.
When is it? And Matt was like, I'll do it soon in the future. It was going to happen. And I was like, yeah, on March 1st, on the weekend, Saturday, next Saturday, and we started looking at dates. He started looking at dates because he realized I was going to be like a pain in the ass, like on top of him. Like, Matt, you're like, I'm block the door.
Well, let's be honest. I knew I was going to get another margarita unless I picked a date.
So in that, Matt picks a date, man. He does it. It's March 1st, 2020, 3 p.m. Pacific time. He gave me the date and he said, I promise you I'm going to do it. You know, trust is a hell of a thing because I had to actually unlock the door and let him out, not knowing whether or not he was going to do it. But the truth of the matter is that I made a decision to trust and he made a decision to trust. And what's so cool about that is that over the last couple of months, I've watched what's happened by him taking that big ass step. It's changed everything. Owning your story is not just like, let me just own my story for the sake of telling a story. There's a big misconception that telling your story, you know, people often get pissed off when I say, no, I'm not in the storytelling business at all. I actually despise it, to be quite honest with everybody. I'd rather the person figure out how to tell their own story and it's raw, vulnerable, honest, non-charismatic, non-fancy, you know, cool delivery way.
And the way that when you said you need to tell your story, I was like, okay, great. And I was thinking I'm going to write it. I'm going to do something. And then you said, no, you need to do it on video. And I'm like, okay. And that's why I brought out my calendar because I was like, okay, I'm going to go into production. I'm going to go into the studio.
That was right.
I'm going to do music and I'm going to do all this stuff. And you're like, no, just turn your camera on and do a Facebook Live. And I was like, well, can I at least have music? Like, I need my binky. I need my blanket.
Do you know that I completely forgot about that? You were trying to have a 3-camera setup and like cameos, dancers.
I was going to bring in baby. I was going to bring baby pictures, and I was going to. And little did I know, later in life, I would kiss a llama, like just all kinds of stuff. Like I was full on production, and you're like, no, just Facebook Live and real.
I was like, when you told me, and you were like, oh, I got to get this right. I was like, what? I was like, push the start button on Facebook. What are you doing? Hold that shit in your hand.
But you know, that was very, if you think about it, like that's what we all do when we face a challenge. Like we come up with what we put more obstacles in front of ourselves versus just doing the damn thing. Instead of just going and doing it, like we will, oh, well, I got to do this. And what about this? And we put up our own blocks. And that was my way of kind of backpedaling a little bit of like, okay, let me think of the right strategy to just be me, which is a bunch of bullshit, really.
Yes, it is. It's exactly right. It's a bunch of bullshit that I couldn't have said it better myself. You are so correct. You know, it's funny because at that moment, Matt makes a decision. He does it. And I'm going to tell you the last many months of me watching you in the midst of a pandemic, you've been living your best life.
Yeah.
Like pandemic, things happening in family, the world and drama behind us from people and insecurities on all their levels. Like Matt, you've been living your best life. Your ability, like you're so strong today. And you know, I know that this time is not for that, but I got to tell you, like I'm having my own like proud mama moment where I'm like,
I received that. Thank you.
Because the truth is that I see how many people you're impacting just by actually being you now. And then they're watching the dollars and cents you. And they're like, Matt's running a company now, Holding Mother Johnson. And you're not just running a company, you're running a company and you're clear. And then I'm watching you take stands and being willing to offend people and being willing to say, no, this is what I think. This is what I feel. This is who I am. This is wrong. Or I'm not okay with you saying that. And no, I'm not tolerating this anymore. And no, I'm not interested. I don't need your friendship because I have where I am and I know who I am. When you think back in the last 90 days, just last 90 days alone, what are you most proud of? What's the thing that you're like, man, I am most proud of that?
I think coming to the awareness that sometimes being nice actually is a disservice than being honest. So speaking and being more honest with myself and with the people that I love and that I care for and my clients. You know, being direct is standing in ownership of, you know what, I've done some shit. I know some shit. And let me support you with this. Being able to just own me. And that's why I said that owning your story is owning your value. Because then once you own your story, like, yeah, you know, I've done $5.5 million in online sales. I've impacted over 48 million people online.
Tell that.
I've touched, like, just knowing, like, that's me. I did that. And I need to be proud of that. That's not braggadocious. That's not boasting. That's just saying I've done some shit and I'm proud of it and I can help you do the same.
Man, I'm going to tell you, that stuff is so huge. You know, owning our story is like, it answers these questions in life and in business. Why me? So it's like, for the customer, it might answer the question of why should you choose me? But for the friend, for the best friend you could have is why should you choose me, right? For the spouse that you could have, why should you choose me? In the same breath, it also answers questions like, well, what makes you really for real unique? What makes you unique? What makes you stand out? What makes you special? In some other aspects, story has a way of intimidating other people in the right way, because it allows the owner of the story to own their own value. And when they own their own value, they become powerful. And what happens is that it sends off an energy or almost a vibe like, no, you can't mess with me, nor can you mess with these people. Go ahead and say it again. Because my story, like every time people ask me, and I see the same in you, you're protective.
Yes.
And inside of you being protective, your story, I watch you now, which I didn't get to see before. You'd be like, come mess with these people. Come say something else. Go ahead and say something. You got something to say? But it's not because you become arrogant. It's because you become confident. It's a whole nother level of confidence. It's like clarity. Confidence is what allows for, I guess, cash and conversion, right? And what we call our C panel here. Mm-hmm. And that kind of confidence you can do and build anything. So I want to take a few minutes and talk about engagement, because at the end of the day, it's so much fun to be with you, Matt. Like, I'm like, ooh.
Amen. I love this.
Yeah, I'm telling you, because like engagement is like my other favorite topic, and this is really where Matt just schools the world. He has spent a lot of time understanding the psychology around just engagement in general. Yes, in the space of events and all things in between, but just the other person. I watch Matt in person. I watch Matt with people who are different colors, different ages, who don't feel like they can or can't, or who are not even ready for a Matt. And I watch him turn them into believers. I watch him turn them into participants. I watch him turn them into. So it's like, when you think about engagement, how important is engagement is it just a Matt thing? Is it just an event thing? Or is this a life thing? Is engagement a life thing?
So when you think of just life in general, life is an exchange of energy. So whether you're in person, you're exchanging energy, whether it be even via an email, how you write the email, how you're connecting with people, especially right now in a world that we live in virtually, where we're on Zooms or we're on webinars or we're in, virtual trainings. Like, making that connection and engaging people is the number one key. I lived a life of trying to engage with people. As a child, I realized that in order for me to be seen or to be heard or to be acknowledged, I had to do. And so I was always trying to find, as a child, how do I connect with this person? How, as a child, do I connect with an adult? How do I connect with this person who has a different story than I do? So I've always been looking for, what's that piece? What's that tool? How do I connect? What do we have in common? And then making that connection. And that plays out into how we do our business today, how I choose to do my business, and what I teach. It's all about engagement. It's all about connection. Connection is currency. Connection is relationship. A relationship is a relay. It's a back and forth. If you're not having a back and forth, then you're not in a relationship. If you're not exchanging your energy, your information, your knowledge, your love, your passion, your heart, whatever that is, if you're not in an exchange together, if you're not connecting, then there's nothing there. And in a world of virtual right now, in a world where we're looking at monitors all day long and we don't have that physical touch, you have to create some type of connection. You have to be able to have people being seen, heard, and appreciated. And that's the story of my life. That was the battle that I've been trying to overcome all of this time, was learning to be seen and to be heard and to be acknowledged.
So the person who's sitting out there and they're saying to themselves, I just don't know. I don't know if I can do something as big and bold as Matt. Like, I don't know if it's possible. I don't know if I'm ready to come out. I don't know if I'm ready to move to that place. I don't know if I'm ready to tell the person, hey, I need a divorce. I don't know if I'm ready to start this business. Because I don't think that the key is about starting or launching. I think the key is about doing something you're deadly afraid of. It's literally about how, where, and what do you do something that you're deadly afraid of.
That was the question that you asked at your event at Do the Damn Thing World Tour, when you said, what's the story that you're afraid to tell?
Mm-hmm.
I instantly knew what it was. And I was like, ah, shit. And then you said, okay, great. Like, you had us write it out. And then you said, now go tell your story to somebody in the room. And my stomach dropped. I was nauseous. I was like, all of a sudden I had to go to the bathroom. I was like, I got to get out of here. And I made eye contact with the person that represented who I was afraid to tell my story to the most. I saw him from across the room. I saw that we both made eye contact. I went to try to find somebody else, and he just kept coming straight at me.
He beelined.
Yeah, and told that story. And as I told the story, one, I realized that all of the conversations, all of the limiting beliefs of how he was going to respond didn't happen. He didn't have the reaction that I thought he was going to have. As a matter of fact, there was no reaction. As a matter of fact, I was really upset, kind of, I just told you something really big, and this is all you're giving me.
Yeah, because you were expecting something else, and you were like, wait, what? You're right. Okay with it? You were okay with it?
Right. Like, it completely demythified everything that I had going on in my head. And I was like, shit. So then I practiced telling other people. Emma Jean, she was out in the hallway, and I was telling her this, and I practiced telling her one in the conversation, and she didn't have a response. And I was like, well, damn it.
You're like, all these years I've been holding this shit back.
Right. Like, but you know what? It's the secrets that we hold. You know, we hold secrets because we judge ourselves more than what other people judge. We don't even give ourselves the chance to be free.
Yes.
So if you're sitting back and you're wondering, no, I can't do that. I can't. Well, there's a cost. What is it costing you?
What is it costing you? There's you're not free. Yes.
Like, it really, I look back and for years I've been single because I've been afraid to be public. For years, I haven't felt the kind of love, the passionate love that I've been desiring because of my own judgment towards myself. And it wasn't until March 1st when I publicly came out and just said, hey, this is me. Now, the universe had a different plan because he put everybody into quarantine. It was like, but that's a different story. But it was the freedom that was generated from sharing that story. And so if you're listening and you're like, I can't do that, take a look at what is it costing you not to? What joy is it costing you? What relationship is it costing you? What freedom? What dreams?
Let me ask you this. So, Matt, you're so right when you talk about cost and trapped. Because, I teach, it's interesting, even for me, this year has been a new level of me understanding story. This last 12, 18 months, I've been teaching now for 5 years. I've been in business for 17 years, or making money on my own. That's it, for 17 years. And it's like we want to build an equation of a life, but you can't build it in a cage. You can't build anything when you're locked up. And I think the silent part of money or being in business or even becoming an adult is that we're expected to not have these feelings or emotions. We're expected to not ever be afraid or feel insecure or intimidated. We're expected to just know it all, be it all, and all of the above. And then we deepen the things that we're keeping silent, with the shame we're holding on to. Mm-hmm. And you hold on to it physically inside of yourself. And it's like it becomes almost its own cancer. Yes. And so things we're trying to do, whether it's like, you're like, I'm trying to have a great relationship. I'm trying to, I don't know, maybe marriage, and then maybe this one's children, and maybe it's neither of those. I'm just trying to grow this business. Or you're like, I'm trying to get my health, my physical game together. And it just doesn't keep working and you keep tripping. For me, I've learned it's because the cancer spreads.
Right.
And you have to, just like what happens with actual cancer in person, like you have to get rid of the cancer. You have to cut it out.
Yeah.
You literally have to cut it out. And cut it out is like metaphorical for me going, Matt, you got to tell the world. You got to cut this out, because Matt at that time was walking into certain rooms and leaving it a mystery and not telling people. And not that he was hiding it or lying about it, but he definitely was like, I'm going to give you this image of myself. So that way you can't ask me too many questions and the questions don't come back.
Right.
And for sure, I can think of many things in my life where, like, I didn't want people to know I had gone to bed hungry. I didn't even want people to know when I started this company that I had been abused. Right. So up until this time, even my family didn't know the depth of it, like how, like, I had been abused. I had been abused, you know, because they're like, Tiffany, you're supposed to be so strong. And so this and so that. Yeah. But the truth is that I didn't know if I was going to live or die. Now, that kind of cancer, it never turns out good.
Right.
Which is why when people come to us, like, even you talked about our live event and Do the Damn Thing Live. And at first, when I first started this company, I tried to just have a marketing and sales event. It was called Onwards to Freedom Live. And it was marketing and sales, right? We're going to teach you marketing and sales. And it was a really good event. We had great turnout and it worked out well for us. But I would leave there emotionally going, but if you don't have your story, the foundation of this thing, you know, like, I can't really guarantee that success. Like, I can hope for the success, but I don't know how you get to X dollars or even X status, or maybe just X freedom in your life where you live somewhere you really love and you can pay your bills and eat out every day of the week, right?
Right.
I don't know how you get there without your story, because I could not do that. This avatar could not do it. I made progress, but I didn't get to where I want, and I wasn't thrilled about me every day. So as you think about what's on the horizon for you, okay, because you've talked about a lot of neat things that are true, near and dear to my own heart, not just about telling your story, but about engagement, being trapped, transparency, religion right behind you, managing other people's insecurities, being able to connect with new people, because now you're able to walk into the gay community. You're like, hey guys, I'm here.
Right.
I'm here. And trust me, I so get that. And I say I'm here because you weren't trying to be there before.
Right. I was actually running away from, because I didn't want to be, I didn't want to reach out to him because I didn't want to be the gay speaker. I didn't want to be the gay so-and-so and only cater to that and be locked into that. I know that I'm here to serve humanity, but in running away, I was also not serving humanity.
Bingo. That's exactly it. So that's exactly where I was going to get to. The actual impact. So many business owners and entrepreneurs like, I'm here to create a massive impact the world, impact humanity. It's like, you're not going to impact anybody until you impact yourself.
Exactly.
Period. There's just no equation around that. And that's exactly it. By Matt not owning his story, it's like he's missing out on the greatest part of the whole life journey game. It's actually impacting the people you're meant to impact, but they can't find you unless you give them your story. But you can't give it to them in a comfortable setting. You have to give it out almost like an advertisement, if you will, like, hey, this is who I am. You can reject me if you want. So people don't do this because they want it in a private, comfortable setting so they can manage and curate the rejection, manage and curate the opinions and the thoughts so that they can have a lesser blow. And it's like, no, the truth is the truth. You don't need it. The people who reject you, let them. There's so many people waiting for you who love you.
And there's so many people that are more comfortable being in the discomfort than they are of the unfamiliar discomfort.
Come on, Matt.
Like they will stay in a place of playing small because it's comfortable. They know that, versus allowing themselves to, what if I stepped out? What if I told my story? What if actually I told my story and one of my aunts said, you know what, I can't be a part of it. Okay. But guess what? I just impacted 5 other people who needed to hear my story, who needed, like, they were at a point of that where they were about ready to give up on life.
That's it.
Is saving a life worth losing a temporary relationship? Because that's just their stuff. That was the thing that I had to understand was, you know what? Because you may not accept or you may not understand my story, that's your thing. I'm not attached to that. And once I released that and let that go and said, okay, you can deal with that, I got work to do. I got lives to impact.
I got work to do. I got shit to do.
Exactly. And some of it actually, you know, some people don't want to touch thousands of lives, which is great. But that 1 or 2 people, they might even be in your family. They might be in your close circle. Those 1 or 2 people need to hear your story. So whether you're telling your story to 1 or you're telling your story to millions, your story is your value.
Mm, mm, mm. Literally.
Face, it's like, yeah.
Yes, I'm like, Matt did that. That's exactly. Yes, yes. Rolling up my sleeves and everything. I'm like, shit, Matt. So man, I gotta tell you, I am so excited I got to spend this time with you. Like, you literally just don't know. For those of you who are listening live, let me tell you, go and stalk Matt Gill.
Amen.
Go and stalk him. Matt is an amazing human being, and I'm fortunate to be able to have a front row seat to watching him do the damn thing and build the damn thing. I for sure say to myself, success leaves clues. And what's exciting today is that Matt is making offers. Is he making offers? Yes, he's collecting. Yes, literally, he's making offers in these streets and making dollars in these streets.
And that was a big learning too. You know, when you own your value, you have the comfortability of saying, "Yeah, I can help you, and this is what the fee is. This is how we can do it. This is how we can play together."
And this is it.
Not be attached to the no, not be attached to the, oh, well, you know, they don't like me, they don't have this. Great. Then it's not a partnership for right now.
For right now. You know, I've watched Matt now make all types of offers and standing in new spaces. And I'm like, man, you know, to think that we almost missed this window by not taking that first step on March 1st.
Yeah.
You know, so let me say this. For those of you who are listening, make a decision and go stalk Matt. He is amazing. He's an amazing human. In the show notes, we'll make sure to have access to how you can stalk him and his following and things like that.
And buckle up, because it'll be a ride. Buckle up. It'll be funny. It'll be entertaining. It'll be soul stirring. It'll be impactful. It'll be challenging. I'm working on the controversial part.
Yes. He is the official leader of the Do the Damn Thing dance troupe. So there's a couple. You're laughing. Someone has emailed us in the last 30 days asking when our auditions, because they don't want to miss it for October. You laughing because you think it's a joke. They're ready. And I'm like, Matt, you done signed everybody up. You better come through.
Listen, I think it was Carmen in one of our calls one time where she was like, well, you know, what are we going to do about some of the, I don't remember how it came up, but Depends ended up being a part of the conversation. And I was like, don't worry, I'll get Depends for everybody. And I went shopping one day at Costco and I bought a box of Depends because that's going to be part of our
I can't with you guys. I can't with you guys. Oh, I love. So listen, Matt Gill is amazing. And I've been fortunate enough to watch him grow, and you get to continue to watch him grow. You absolutely can come and hang out with him. He is inside of Do the Damn Thing Nation, our free group on Facebook. You absolutely can come and hang out with us there if you want to learn more on how to tell your story and how to do the damn thing, or if you just want to come and hang out. Yes, and we do mean that because we love family. We love family. The last thing I'm going to say is that, you know, you heard Matt talk about the process, and he mentioned some really key things. And I just want to take a moment to highlight them because it's the formula. And, you know, as much as you hear Matt talk and me say, well, this is what I asked you to do, at the end of the day, it's everything I've done for myself and I continue to do for myself. And I've made a decision over the years to make sure that I am the example, and I continue to be the example. Just as you need to be the example for the people you serve or the people you're connected to. It's not even the people you serve. It's just the people who are to your left and your right. Like his decision to come out and do the hard thing. You do the hard thing first. So that's lesson number 1. Do the hard thing first. Actually, this is lesson number 2. Lesson number 1 was make a decision to just be there and be present. Matt mentioned Do the Damn Thing Live. He came and he was there and he was present. And it's what started this fun journey.
Yeah.
Okay. And
part of it is actually listening to your intuition too, because this is the thing that I think, you know, we get signs, we get messages, we get a direction, and we don't hear it, or we try to justify it, or, okay, I hear you, but I'm going to use that later on. Mm-hmm. When you hear the voice, and that was the thing, when you said you need to be at my event, I heard the voice that said, in my heart and my spirit, you need to be at the event. And so I just kind of eyes wide open, was like nodding my head and said, oh, okay, I'll be there. And so that's the step, is really, you know, understanding like that trust your intuition, trust where you're being guided.
Trust it. You know what's so interesting? Jerika said the exact same words, verbatim.
Wow.
No lie. That's why you see me so quiet, because I'm like, that's wild. I almost got to play it for you. The exact same sentence, 2-3 sentences back to back. You're going to think it's you in a woman version. No lie. But you're right. It's trusting, and it's trusting the intuition, trusting what you're feeling, trusting, and then trusting the process.
Yeah.
Number 3, once you do the hard thing, you need to stay there. Okay.
Yeah.
You can't back up. You cannot back up. You cannot reverse it. You cannot sideswipe. You can't go back to what's comfortable. And I watched Matt make a decision to double down after that. And I for sure know that success leaves clues, and his decision to double down after that is 100% why it's not just easy for him to have conversations, but why also people are looking at him going, well, what are you doing?
Yeah.
This is amazing. I need to be you when I grow up. Yes, I want to get on a call with you. Yes, I want to buy X product from you. Yes, I want to spend X dollars, because he shows up in his life, even on days that are not great days, even on days when there's marching happening outside and there's uncertainty in the world and Trump is still president for whatever reason. And we have all of these different things, and Matt has made a decision to not necessarily speed and race to the destination, but to stay focused on his objective. The 5th thing I'm going to say is that one of the things that you didn't talk about, and I'm going to add this for the person who's taking notes and looking for the formula. Matt has loved himself. And I know that sounds super woo, but Matt loved himself like, I'll take care of you. You know what? We're going to the beach today. We need to go to the beach.
Yeah. And that again is trust. That is listening to intuition. Because there are times I know the beach is my place of rejuvenation. It's my place of recharge. It's my place of just resetting. And so when I hear, I need to go to, just like your body, when you're hungry, it tells you that you're hungry. Your body tells you when you have to use the restroom.
Exactly. Your
soul and your spirit is talking to you of what you need. And when you begin to be free, here's the thing. When you're free and when you tell your story and you begin to live in a space of freedom, there's less chaos and things that are blocking you from hearing the messages.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Period. End of subject. End of subject. So, man, oh man, oh man. The Matt Gill.
And Tiffany, I want to thank you for you and Do the Damn Thing Nation and your team. This community is unlike many of the communities that I've been. I've been honored and blessed to be in a lot of different communities and exposed to different. This is truly different. One, because it's heart-centered. It's loving, it's supportive, it's raw, it's real. It's no bullshit. I love I wear my Do the Damn Thing sweatshirt all the time, even when it's hot, because that's the reminder for me. You're either doing the damn thing or you're not. And I take ownership of the times when I'm not. I'm like, no, today I need to be at the beach. And for me, that's doing the damn thing, because that's a recharge. That's a creative space. I love this community because there's such a connection. There's such a bond. And that comes all the way up from leadership. I'm learning a lot of how to be a leader from watching you, from watching your boldness, from you standing in your authenticity. And there are a lot of teachers that are out there that teach this. And then on behind the scenes, they're a different story. And I've seen both. I've seen what gets seen on camera, what gets seen publicly, and then what's on the back. And your integrity is there on both sides, including the times of, you know what, I just need to get away. I'm taking off for 3 days. I'll be in this place. And like that, that's leadership, to show the good, the bad, and the ugly. And you give me permission to embrace all of the good, the bad, and the ugly. So thank you.
You're gonna make me cry.
I haven't got a tear out of you yet one time. I will one day.
You will one day, but don't do it. Don't make me cry now. No, man. You know, I am the fortunate one. That is the truth. And my deepest desire for everybody listening and every person around the world who believes it's not possible or feels that they're alone or is running a business where they're like, this shit just sucks. I for sure want to remind you and let you know that you're at this moment right now, you're enough, period. And I also want to remind you how important it is to be in some type of community, amongst some type of family. Yeah. And how important it is to trust yourself. And Matt, for sure, you're right. I do lead by that kind of an example on purpose. It's like when I take off for 3 days and I say, I'm gone. No, we're not going to send you a bogus email, because I want to be transparent that some days are not always great days. And some days you need to take a step back. And some days you need to take a deep breath. And sometimes you need to just sit in the sun. And sometimes you need to pace the floor. But, focus, yes, but it's also honesty and integrity and truth. That's always going to win. It's always going to win far beyond anything else. And that is the greatest lesson I have learned this far in doing this and doing the damn thing. So with that, we're going to say, Matt Gill, we love you.
Whoop, 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 whoop. Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me.
Man, have I told you how glad I am that you're here? Like, real talk, have I flippin' told you how glad I am that you are here, you have listened? This is the part of the show where I say, let's go find us, go follow us, go stalk us, but just make sure that we're connected. Head to dothedamnthing.tv, dothedamnthing.life, or just go hang out on tiffanylargy.com. If we are not friends on Facebook, if you have not liked our Instagram page, go do that, because you're going to want to see what we're doing, how we're doing, and how we're doing the damn thing daily.